Welcome back, folks. It's time for our final talk before we take our lunch break. So hang in there if the hunger's setting in. You know, I always say if you get a little bit hungry, it just kind of clicks your brain in, it engages you even more. And you want to be engaged for this because next up, we've got Tomasz here to talk to us and give us a CTO's view on DevOps. Tomasz, floor is all yours.
Hello, everyone. Very good morning or good afternoon, despite the time zones that we are in. Today we have like 40 minutes around to talk about the DevOps transformation, and I would like to share with you the point of view of CTO or other C-level executives, as I spend a lot of time working with them on a daily basis. I'm the general manager of Grand Parade Technological Hub, technological software house of the bigger group called Evoke right now. So I will tell you about my experience from this company and also from previous banking industries and telecom industries that I was working in. So, DevOps, if we would have the interaction, I would ask you about what do you think DevOps is, right? But this is the big mystery. We talk about DevOps, we talk about tools, we talk about DevOps culture. All the things are, a little bit of fuzzy words, especially culture. So right now, let's focus about, defining what does it really mean for us as engineers. I was Java engineer back then, like 20 years ago. So I was no DevOps at that time, but I remember having discussions about software development efficiency. Some of the people may say this is the mindset. And may sounds fuzzy for you, but the mindset is actually what we really think about working with others, how we approach working with others while producing the software. The other people will say this is the tool chain. So every tool we use, that's DevOps, from the modern engineering work. But this is half true. So this is the mindset and the tool chain. When we compare those two together, we have full DevOps approach. So let's focus at the beginning about talking about technology. Reminding myself when I was a Java engineer, there was some development that I was doing. I was then building jar file using Maven or other. I think I was using mostly Maven at that time. And I passed this jar file to operations guys to deploy to production and maintain all the software. Okay. That makes sense. So on one hand, we have development, and on the other hand, we have operations. So talking about development, it's all about designing the software, so all the architecture. It's about programming then what we've designed. It's about having version control to work collaboratively together, right? Git or SVN or other tools. And then it's all about, deploying, logging, and creating the logging mechanisms and so on. This is also about the provisioning of the software and the infrastructure. And then there was the operations people who were just getting the jar file or even getting deployed jar file, and they were monitoring, checking the logging mechanism that we implemented on the development side and patching. So they were more like having operational work. Okay. So it's development, operations. And the whole movement that Patrick Debois starts when he started talking about DevOps is building the relationship between development guys and operations guys. And there is a gray area how to do it, right? Because there's a gray area of deployment to the staging environment, deployment to UAT testing environment, to pre-prod, prod, hidden pre-prod. We know it, right? We would love to create such stages of the environments. So this is the hidden area that sometimes development is taking care of, and sometimes operations guys they take care of this hidden, then this gray area. We also have some mechanisms, modern technologies and modern approaches like infrastructure as a code. We also have Docker containers, orchestrations, configuration management, CI/CD pipelines, logging again, some automation logging mechanism, monitoring them, the apps. So this is again gray area between development and operations, and depending in which company we work, we may want to do it as a developers or as operations. And that's the gray area that we can start from when it comes to the DevOps common goal, right? So the DevOps common goal is to have developers still developing the software, operations guys still focusing on operating the software, but then having those two working together and upskilling themselves in order to address the end-to-end process. That's obviously the ideal state. It's not that easy, obviously, but that's our ideal state. We know that, I guess that you saw this infinity loop of DevOps processes, right? It's all about modern tools right now on different stages. So some of us use some of the tools during our work, right? Jenkins, I think Jenkins, everyone uses Jenkins, Git, GitLab, and so on. But also we have something like Puppet Chef. So some of us use Puppet Chef Docker, right? For this container approach. And that's the challenge, how to distinguish which role will use which tools and how to work together. And there is a mystery word, transformation. So how the C-level guys, CTOs, sees the transformation? They would like to move from state A to state B. Sounds easy, right? So they have state A, development and operations guys working in the silos and building barrier between them. And the end state is to have everyone working together, developers, operations, and some DevOps. Some people say DevOps engineers. I would love to say that those are the engineers who enable DevOps practices, those yellow ones at the top. But between A stage in our company and transitioning to the B stage, there is a intermediate step, which is natural. So we start to break the silos, and then once the silos is broken or is removed, we find people who are willing to jump in and help. So those yellow boxes, the roles in the yellow boxes, to combine those two groups together. There's an idea in the change management that those are three steps that are named: unfreeze, change, and freeze. So this is the Cart-Levin's model of the software, or not software, but of the change. That at the beginning you have the organization which works in a certain way, and you need to unfreeze it. So sort of prepare an organization to change. Then you need to implement the change. And then once the change is implemented, so new ways of working are established, the DevOps practices and DevOps approach is established, then say, okay, this is how we would like to go further. So in the first stage, you create a climate for change. So CEOs, CTOs, they create a climate for change, showing that they are willing to invest money, invest budget in upskilling people, in training people. And CTOs shows us also that they expect us to work together, not in the silos. So the expectations are set at the beginning. The inspiration, if we have inspirational leaders on the CTO position, they inspire us to change, so they unfreeze us, right? Then in the middle, we have those volunteers or the change agents or the pioneers who are willing to step up, learn new things, and share it across the organization in teams. So they enable the organization, they change the organization, and then the freeze part, we just sustain the change. So CTO expects that after this changing part, the middle part, then we will establish the concrete DevOps processes, concrete ways of working that will help us working together. Obviously, it's not happening just like this overnight. We, I guess, know this diagram, that it's very hard to go from the very beginning, like just coding, having coding and building people into the separate departments, up until fully DevOps operational environment. The first step could be, I'm not saying that it always is, but could be the agile development. So agile provides you the possibility to work together in a more collaborative way, to build a trust between you guys, and code and build the software together. Then we have continuous integration, which lasts up until the tests integration, right? Then continuous delivery. So we are delivering to the point when someone needs to say, yes, I approve it going to production, or no, I don't approve it. That's usually the step that the change is happening very quickly, and then there you need to convince people, convince your CTOs, convince your chief product officers that you are the ones who can tell that this software can go to production. It's not an easy thing. We'll discuss in a minute how to build trust with executives in order to get this autonomy. But if you do it, then the next step is continuous deployment, right? So you can continuously deploy to production without manual approval process, and then fully DevOps automation environments. All right, so we talked about a little bit about DevOps, right? What does it mean? How we can approach that? What are the expectations from C-level? So let's focus on C-level view now, how they perceive the world. The question is, if you really want to know, because that's a different story how they perceive the world. We are operating as engineers, very specialized, deep knowledge. Our narrow focus, but deep knowledge allows us to develop good software and good products. On the other hand, generalists, general leaders, and C-level guys, they need to have the zoom out view, very broad view, very looking far away to the future, like 5 years ahead of now, to define the strategy and so on. So they need to have this broad picture, but they are just humans, right? So they don't have the full capacity to be full specialized and also having the broad picture. By the way, this graphic comes from Pejman Milani. I like this guy. I recommend you following this guy on LinkedIn. He's very creative in producing such visualization. All right, so this is our world, right? As we discussed, we program, we have the version control, so we collaborate on the code level, we deploy our code, we have CI/CD pipelines that to deploy it automatically. We have containers, we orchestrate everything, we have configuration management, provisioning, logging, monitoring, and so on and so forth, right? And under every single word here is a huge specialized knowledge that you guys have. Let's call it DevOps to simplify that, right? The DevOps practices, DevOps tools. But this is just a small piece of the whole organization. Because when we have DevOps, we also have Agile ways of working. This talk is not to have the Agile discussion, but I can tell you that Agile ways of working very much helps in establishing DevOps. So that's the another box, right? And thus Agile and DevOps address the question with whom I would like to work. So this is like a collaboration aspect. With whom I would like to develop my code, with whom I would like to collaborate on the backlog, right? With whom I would like to work to produce the software. Then there is a structure in place on that C-level guys needs to think of, because obviously the answer with whom I would like to collaborate, that's on the team basis, but especially in the large organization, there needs to be a structure of the roles and departments. The modern approach is to have a very flat organization, fairly flat organization, right? But if you have huge enterprise, it's difficult to have flat organization. So right now, it's the point when the structure comes in. So how to make engineering people working together, how to making product people working together, how to have the bridge between them, how to put the finance inside, how to collaborate with the HR, and so on. So that's the structure. With whom on the overall company level. And then the strategy that they need to think of. So how to achieve the goals, how to achieve their goals in the 5 years time, for example, to move the company to the next level, to earn more money, right? Because we are focused on technology, but our aim as engineers is to produce software to bring the revenue to the company. So that's the challenge. We may not be thinking about the revenue of the company every day, but C-level guys, they think about that. And the last one, the last bit is organizational behavior. So what we are doing and how we are developing the software. So the behavior, right? I see that something is broken with the slides. I thought that it will be fixed automatically, but let me maybe switch to sharing the screen if that's possible, because right now I have my slides uploaded to StreamYard, and for your experience would be better not to have it. Let me check if I can present from my share screen. Okay, I have this one. Do you see my screen right now? The thing is that if you answer, I don't see the... Okay, I see right now. Perfect. Slideshow from the beginning. Now I don't see you, but that's fine. So let's find a slide where we were in. Right. So DevOps, let's put it that way, from the current slide. You right now should be able to see it. I see that you see it. Okay, one more thing that the pilot needs to work. Okay. All right. So this is a little bit of animation. That's why it didn't work previously. So we have this DevOps aspect. The DevOps is a very small piece. The other piece is Agile. Collaboration, as we mentioned about Agile and DevOps. Then we build on top of that the structure, then the strategy, and organizational behavior. Beautiful, looks really nice. So this is the whole big picture that CTO and C-level guys need to take care of and think of, and address. So you see that if they have the broad scope of accountabilities and the broader view, they are not able to then focus very narrowly of DevOps practices. So we have this organization, right? And that's the beautiful animation that I was working during the whole night. Ooh, I hope that you see that. Yeah. So when we have transition, we need to transition the whole company, transform the whole company, the whole structure through the change. So now, how to do it? Actually, there are two. I call it bus, mindset bus, and technology bus. So we need to change the technology and tools, and then we need to change the ways of working. We work together. We have to work together, and also our mindset, how we think about our ways of working. Another cool animation. So those two aspects, mindset and technology. And
by the way, Thomas, sorry, I just want to say, I think it's frozen on slide 28.
It's frozen because, yes. Oh, you didn't see my beautiful shiny animation.
I know. As soon as you said it, I was like, what animation? I'm missing out on the good stuff.
All right. So let me stop sharing and maybe then try another one. Slides. Because when I have the slides in uploaded,
Yeah,
it's difficult for me to do entire window. Okay. Looks like, whoa. Now you should see
hey, there
it.
we go. All right, I'll let you get
And
back to
let
it.
me check if there's... Now there's animation. Do you see it? Yes. Perfect. Right?
Yep,
Yes.
perfect.
So I need to come back and show you the previous animation. So the big organization. And now this big organization is going through transition, right? I'm very proud of it. And this transition goes with a mindset and technology bus, right? So as I mentioned, we need to have proper technology to use, but we also need to have the proper mindset how to work together. So those four aspects, organizational behavior, strategy, structure, and collaboration, are those aspects that CTO need to think of. Obviously, CTO is focused on technology, right? But C-level, CTO is a C-level role. So C-level role needs to think broader as well to help CEO or driving the company forward. So as you can tell, there are four aspects that I mentioned. Organizational behavior, so how we behave, how we approach others in terms of working together. Strategy, what's our strategy for the next 3 years, where we would like to be. The structure, how we would like to shape the teams and the departments, and the collaboration, how we will collaborate together in using DevOps practices and tools. So those four. So organizational behavior is more sort of the input to this mindset bus, right? We have such a mindset, how to work together. We are, for example, that we are open for the people who are not brave enough, that they are afraid of learning. That can be one example of our behavior, right? Or we are open to people who like to learn, teach us, right? That we appreciate their time and we allow them to teach us new technologies. Then the strategy, structure, and collaboration. Collaboration is more like our CPU of our brains, right? It's connected with the technology, but also connected with the mindset, how we would like to use this technology. And the strategy is also connected with the mindset, where we would like to be. So we think about that and which technology we use. And the structure is more about mindset. So when I talk about this mindset bus and technology bus, it reminds me the two pillars that we build trust on. When I mentioned at the beginning of my talk how to build trust with your executives in order to allow you to deploy to the production without approvals, for example, that's this aspect. You have the cognitive aspect of trust and the emotional aspect of trust. I'll be not talking deeply about that because that's separate talk that I have. It is on YouTube, so you can check if you are interested. But definitely, what I can tell is that cognitive aspect of trust is that the aspect that we deliver. So we have the knowledge, we have the experience, we have our intelligence, right? And we, thanks to that, we deliver stuff. So we deliver stuff to our CTO. He or she sees that we build the software. She or he asked about something that we delivered. That's cognitive aspect of trust. And there is another aspect, emotional. So they need to feel that they trust us. It's more fuzzy, but it's connected with that. If people are open and honest, your brain subconsciously can feel that this person is trustful and the other is not trustful so well. So do those two pillars of trust. Cognitive is about technology we use, technology, data, our knowledge. Emotional is about our mindset. So if we have the mindset of being open to everyone, our CTO will see that and say, hey, this guy is very open and would like to collaborate with everyone. Perfect, I trust him, right? There is another drawback. If you are just open and have the emotional aspect of trust addressed, but you don't deliver the results because you don't have the knowledge, for example, that's also difficult to build a relationship and trust. And talking about trust, that's the aspect of the iceberg of the ignorance. You may have heard about it, that executives see the only 4%, couple of percentage of the problems. Why is that? Because of the lack of trust, right? You as engineers, you see all of the problems. Then you share some of them with your leaders, right? If you trust more to your team leader, you may share everything. But if you trust less, that you don't share everything. And then goes on and goes on. People may have difficulties in sharing all the problems, so executives just see small amount. And actually, they would like to see the whole broad of scale of problems. So if you are brave enough to show executives, CTO, for example, the whole scope of the challenges, problems, that's fine, and that's really appreciated. The only thing that I advise you is to share not only your problems but your proposition how to solve it, because CTO has a lot of problem in their heads. So if you are brave enough to share and then to provide proposed solutions, you will be trustful. CTO's needs and biases. Okay, so right now is a section to talk about a little bit what they need, why they are CTOs. They are CTOs to solve problems, right? So they have some needs and they have some biases. Those needs and biases are based on those two theory. The needs notation is based on Marshall Rosenberg research, and the biases notation is based on this company definitions. I encourage you to go to this website and check. There's like more than 150 biases that every human being sometimes is trapped into. I chose the best ones that I observed in working with C-level executives in those 4 areas, as you remember. So the organizational behavior, what they need presence of people. They need support from people, and they need trust of people. So they are human beings, right? If that's, for example, the question, why C-level guys ask people to come to the office. However, you come to the office and spend the whole day on calls, right? So what's the point? And I get it that there are pros and cons of being in the office. And personally, I prefer the hybrid mode. So some days in the office, some days out of the office at home. But definitely, they need the presence of people because they're human beings. They would like to speak with people, right? To listen to them, to hear their problems. And being all the time online, it's more difficult. It is possible, but more difficult. They need your support. So if only you are brave to support them, to call them and say, hey, I see this challenge. I would approach this way. Do you want me to help you? That's something that she or he will be satisfied. And trust, again, he or she needs trust between you and this person to rely on you that you will deliver and you will be a trustworthy person. Now the biases that they may have is the 3 of them. The first one is choice supporting bias. So they see previous choices as a good. For example, you have new CEO coming into your company and say, hey, everyone in the office, because I saw it in my previous company, it worked. So right now I see the previous choice as a good, so I will choose this approach in the new company, right? So that's the bias that people may want to have. The conservatism, preferring prior evidence over the new information, is sort of connected with that. So most likely CTOs, CEOs, they are very successful in the business. So they knew how to do things. They know how to do things better, and they knew from the past what to do. Now they make some decisions, but if they don't get the feedback from you that maybe this solution is not fit for this organization, fit for purpose, they may trap into this bias. And confirmation bias, seeking information to keep our initial judgment. So our brain subconsciously, because biases usually work subconsciously, our brain scans the reality, checking the information that supports our judgment. The other part is strategy. So what's the need for the CTO guy when he or she thinks about strategy? They would like to achieve. They are CTOs to go 1 mile further, to be above and beyond, and all the slogans that we know. But they would like to achieve things, right? They would like to develop their career, develop their companies, introduce new technologies. So they are achievers, let's put it that way, usually. They would like to discover new things. There are people, those are the people who would like to discover things from the perspective of technology, obviously, but also from the organizational perspective. And they are the people that they know would like to know where we are heading to. So they have the strategy defined by CEOs or together with the CEO, and they, on the journey to this to achieve those goals, they would like to see where we are right now. So that's the whole thing with the metrics, measurements, KPIs, and so on. This is to satisfy their need to control the situation where the organization is going through. And the biases, again, 3 of them on the strategic level. Impact bias, overestimating of things because of its potential impact. So if they would like to achieve, so if they would like to achieve something, for example, I don't know, go to the cloud with AWS, they may overestimate this movement because they see the potential impact of being in the cloud, technological wise, professional wise, stability wise, right? But they can overestimate it and may not think of, they will be thinking about costs because there is a CFO, chief financial officer, who will ask about costs, right? But they may be impacted by this impact bias. The other bias is ostrich, ignoring dangerous information. Some of them, not many of them, because CTOs are very engineering oriented, so they have KPIs, they have knowledge to not ignore the dangerous information, but sometimes it can be that they can ignore some information that you try to put in front of them, but they ignore it. For example, like monthly releases or bigger releases that makes troubles, but they are focused on something else and they may not hear you. So you need to be more vocal about that. And overconfidence, being too confident about our abilities. That's the bias that everyone, I think, in the engineering can trap into, because we are usually confident about our work. Okay, when it comes to the structure, what do we have in terms of the structure? The need that CTOs have is to have the consistency, have the stability, and have clarity. They put in place the structure of the company, so the departments, teams, even below, like guilds or working groups, because they would like to have consistency. If there is one structure in the I don't know, data domain, let's put it that way, similar structure may be implemented in other domains, like in engineering domains, because they would like to see this consistency, that they see the picture of the organization and it makes sense for them. It provides them the feeling of that the company is stable because it has stable structure. And clarity, they are clear who to ask where they have the problems. They just look on the org chart. So that's the needs behind building the structures. And biases, clustering, isolation, seeing patterns where there are not patterns. For example, a good example is a central team. We had a central team in the telecom organization I was working in, and there was a specific name of this team. I think, well, I don't remember the proper name, but that was a, let's put it, central implementations team, right? And then in other departments, there was a team which was accountable for totally different thing, doing totally different thing, but the name was implementation team. And what CEO, CTO, or but C-level guys did, they said, "Oh, this is implementation team, and we have central implementation team. Okay, so let's join them." That's the trap that they can fall into. And the other one, vividness, focus on the most easily recognized data. So that's the thing, that when you present your data, you need to present your data in a proper way, because our brain is just seeking for the best, the easiest way to take the information. So if you have the data, proper data is not only the success criteria. Success criteria is to focus how to show them the truth in the way that they can absorb it. And framing, being influenced by how the situation is presented. Again, that's a similar thing when someone prepares the PowerPoint slide deck, the whole structure in place, and the whole idea of new solution. It needs to be concrete. It needs to be to the point. They have very small amount of time for you, and they are tend to be framed by influenced by this how we present the situation. All right, and the last one, collaboration bit, our DevOps Agile practices, right? So what they need to empower the group, and they need to be empowered by the group. So they need to feel that they rely on the group that knows DevOps, knows Agile, and will be working alongside. They seek inspirations and stimulations, right? What's the modern engineering ways of working? Tell me about that. And last but not least, and actually very first, contribution and belonging. So they would like to belong. Even though they are on the top, I can tell you that on the top, they are very lonely because everyone expects something from them, but they don't usually have people to just speak with, to have the relationship just like a regular one, because there's a so intense environment that there's no time to do that. So when they think, and that's the difficult thing, but when your CTO thinks that she or he belongs to the team, even though doesn't work in this team, but people know him, people sometimes are in the office to just say, hey, hello, just inform what are the important points, important topics in the team. That's the fulfilling their need of belonging and contributing to the team. And four biases. Mirror imaging, assuming others will act the same way as we would. That's challenging when you have team meeting and the CTO comes on the meeting. She or he can assume that you will be thinking the same as him or her, but actually it doesn't really work like this, because you remember you are very narrow and focused with a deep knowledge, and they have the broader scope. So you need to challenge them if they think that you will echo what they say. False consensus, overestimation of consensus with a group. That's not usually the trap that I observed, but for some execs, I observed that they would like to belong so much to the teams that they would like to have the consensus. So that's consensus not the best. Sometimes it's not the best way to agree with the broader group. Group thinking, choosing the option that the majority of the group prefers. So again, looking at the majority, because you can have people who are not in the majority, but they are right. They have better ideas than the majority. And halo effect, agreeing and deciding with someone because of the personality. So you have this shiny, beautiful presentation and speakable person who presents the idea, and this halo effect around this person may drag CTOs to make some decisions, but actually the true could be the better decision could be in a different space. All right, so I have some pro tips in the end. I think we have still some like 6 minutes. So very quick pro tips for you when you are interacting with CTOs. You know already about DevOps. You know already about how CTO thinks, CEO thinks, C-level executive thinks. So the pro tips. This is a Docker, right? But this is not a Docker that we understand from the software engineering. This is the imagine that this Docker is the company. And this Docker, when it turns very slowly, right? So the huge company also turns very slowly. So you need to be there and be bound to even start moving this huge ship, right? You need to be bound speaking with your CTO. Sure, he needs to see you, that you have the valid point, right? But you may have the valid point, but if you are not bold, not brave enough to speak with them, to speak out loud during the bigger meetings, they will not recognize. So James Bond is something that you can remember. Be Bond, James Bond, and do the mission. Build trust with the crew and the skipper. right? So we talked about a little bit about trust. If you have a trust and CTO trusts you, you then can influence the direction of this ship. And I can tell you that usually this is not formal role, very informal, but usually in organizations, CTO has one engineer that can trust 100%. And if there is anything that he has or she has in the mind, go just straight to this engineer without any, agile process, going around everything just because he or she needs immediate action. And if you are in the position to be this one person for your CTO, again, informal role, right? You will be in the best position. Know your coordinates of the course. So create a map of the course. Understand, we talk about the roadmaps, right? It also may be a fuzzy word for some of us, but understand where we are heading to in half a year, 1 year, 3 years, because then if you understand, you can have a meaningful conversation with your CTO. Measure, inspect, and adapt, especially measure, because we may be afraid of setting up KPIs, measuring our software, measuring our work. That's totally different, topic, but not be afraid. They expect the measure. They need measures. So if you will be the one measuring and answering the questions, good for you. And have an alternative road. So have a different plan B. Let's put it that way. Different plan in your mind. Keep the full steam. So not to be, not to drag into this unmotivation aspect. In front of the change, you may be tired and you will be unmotivated. But if those CTOs and CEOs, they need desperately seek for people who are motivated. So if you are motivated, that will be good for you. Don't wait in the port. So don't wait that someone else will solve something, and don't just complain, but be active, be brave, and be vocal. And that's how you can build relationships and influence the ship. So as you may saw, this is a huge ship, but this huge ship is moved through the small tugboats. So if you will be the one impacting your personal space and be vocal about that, you will be able to help. You will be able to stabilize the ship. You will be able to, for example, normalize the tech stack that you use and be vocal again about that in front of the CTOs. So that's the one. And know your ship limitations, right? It's a very popular picture of the Rena ship. Know your limitations, not overcomplicate things in engineering, not come up with the new technologies if we don't need it, or complicate that. So that's the thing. Look behind the horizon. So look this 3 years, 5 years ahead, what they see, and be captain drive group towards the new destination. So be the one, be brave enough to drive it. Know the ship constructions, and if you have the knowledge about the technology and know the ship constructions, CTOs will trust you. Again, evidence-based conversation is the best. So having the meaningful conversation with your CTO. And in the end, I think, still 2 minutes, why bother? Because the wind and the waves are always on the side of the able navigator. I would like to thank you very much with this quotation. Remember that in your organization, you have the waves, you have the wind, headwind, for example. But if you are able navigator, the ablest navigator, right? You can take the advantage of that. You can help the organization. You can build your career with that. So thank you very much. And like 2 minutes for questions, or even 1 minute to questions, right? Obviously, if we don't have time, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to answer the questions.
All right, guys, you heard Thomas there. If you've got any questions, put them in the chat now. Click the Q&A tab and drop them in there.
I'll stop sharing them.
Yep, thank you. Really cool conversation there, Thomas. I've had a few kind of thoughts off that one. I think the interesting thing that I got at that, it felt like what you're kind of saying is when it comes to CTOs, I think a lot of people think these C-level execs, they want full control of what they are overseeing. But it kind of, I think the message you're kind of trying to give there is that really what they want is someone they can trust in to empower to kind of drive the ship. Oh, sorry, Tom.
It's challenging to hear the question. I think something going on with the internet connection. I hope that you were able to hear me fine.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me fine? Or still laggy? 1 second. Let me try. Is that any better? Still got lag.
Okay, we're back. Yes.
Oh, we're back? Okay, fantastic.
I see you.
Fantastic. Can you hear me? One second. So let's try leaving. Okay, did that change anything?
Still can't hear. Still sounds robotic.
Okay. All right. No problem. All right. We'll end it there then. Okay.
All right. It looks like questions will not work today because of the internet connection. At least I hope that you heard everything that what I was saying. And again, I encourage you to contact me on the LinkedIn if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them as long as I have some time, but definitely will come back to you. All right. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have the session for you. I hope that the next sessions will be great and that conference time will be good for you. So thank you and have a nice day.